His wishes come true, and he becomes the loser son of a duke. One fine day, he wakes up in his bedroom as his younger brother comes banging on his door and tells him that their father wants to meet them. His dad immediately starts insulting Alan, telling him that he is still a level 1 loser even after so many years, and his stats have not increased in the least. On top of that, he did not even get any divine gift from God like other noble children. He then kicks Alan out of the family, claiming that he is a failure and a blot on his family's name. Alan gets out of the castle, completely unfazed, as he was waiting for this moment so that he can spend this life having fun and not worrying about other people, but realizes that he still has his powers from the last life. Just before he could go wander around, he hears a girlish screaming coming from a distance. It turns out to be 2 girls who are being attacked by some monsters. The tomboy knight Betty tries to slash and stab the dog monsters, but even as she shatters them to pieces, they immediately heal back up. She tells the princess named Lisa to run away while she blocks the dog monsters, but the princess is adamant about not leaving her behind, so she simply stands behind her while Betty tries her best to keep the monsters at bay. Alan watches it from a distance by using his magical eyes, and remembers how when they were young, some men at a party were making fun of him for being useless, but Lisa stepped in and told those men that at least he tries. This makes him want to help her in this situation just as the incompetent warrior woman falls. One of the dogs slashes her body, leaving her knocked out on the ground. The monsters are just about to finish the job, but Alan musters all of his magical energy and runs faster than lightning to appear in front of the princess at the very last moment, grabbing the dog by its throat. Lisa is shocked as Alan attacks the 3 monsters before jumping in the air and scanning them. He finds out that they all have a core inside of them, so he uses his special ability that creates a bunch of ethereal swords around him and throws them at the dog monsters, completely obliterating them. Betty apologizes to Lisa for being incompetent and thinks that this is the end for her. However, Alan approaches her and uses his healing magic to heal her completely, and even restores her armor. This really shocks the girls as everyone knew that Alan was a useless loser without any power. He can't tell them that these are powers from his previous life, but the girls come to a conclusion that this must be a new type of divine blessing the church doesn't know about. He then asks Lisa what the hell is she doing out in the countryside, and she explains that while she was praying to the goddess, she received a prophecy that she needs to go to a faraway village to help the hero. There was no other detail, and she left the capital alongside Betty, who was one of the strongest female warriors, and her bodyguard. Lisa then asks Alan what is he doing here, and he replies that they should talk about that while resuming their journey. He gets up and fixes the carriage using his healing magic. While traveling through the countryside, Lisa learns that he was kicked out by his dad for being powerless. Now, he simply wants to live a normal life away from fame and people. She pities him, and even refuses to snitch him out to the king despite knowing how helpful his powers can be to the kingdom. Alan thanks her and promises to accompany her while she is roaming through the countryside in search of the hero. After a while, they finally reach the village that she was looking for, and surprisingly enough, they don't find any monsters roaming around the area, which is very rare. They walk around the village, but it looks empty until they finally see a horde of people, while a girl gets kicked out of an old man's house. This flat-chested girl turns out to be Akira, who is the current hero, and holds the all-powerful sword that once belonged to Alan in his previous life. Akira doesn't even recognize Lisa, and asks them to take her out to lunch first because she is hungry. While inside a restaurant, they start eating, and Akira tells them that she was wandering around the village when she spotted a young girl running through the woods. She grabbed her and asked if she was fine, but she claimed that the dragon was going to eat her. Hearing this, she decided to slay the dragon and hid the girl in a small cave before heading into the village to get some more information. But when she entered the old man's house to ask questions, he refused to talk and threw her out. Alan finds all of this a bit suspicious and theorizes that there is a possibility that these villagers are trying to sacrifice the girl's life in order to gain protection from the dragon, and that's why they can't see any monsters around the area. This theory makes sense to all of them, so Akira decides that she is going up the hill and slaying the dragon by herself. Lisa immediately volunteers to go with her, as according to the prophecy she needs to guide the hero, and Betty obviously follows Lisa. Alan takes a deep breath as he can't leave his friends alone, so he decides to go with them in case they get overpowered by the dragon. While climbing up the hill, Akira seems to be very confident in her abilities and draws up a plan, claiming that she will go straight up and face the dragon, while the others should go around the mountain and pincer the monster. Alan knows that this hero is completely useless and will get destroyed, so he offers to go from the front alone, while the girls go around the mountain. However, Akira can tell that he is more powerful than he shows, and he might kill the dragon without letting her fight. That is why she wants to go from the front, and then requests to spar with him once she is done with the dragon. Alan agrees to the plan, and Akira ends up going straight up to the dragon, who immediately gets up and shoots a massive flame blast at her. She dodges it somehow, and uses her special abilities to cast lightning on the dragon. But her magic is so weak that it simply tickles the dragon as he laughs at her face. Suddenly, the dragon shows her that the little girl is also here, and reveals that he simply wanted to have fun terrorizing the villagers. That is why he released her on purpose. This pisses Akira off, and she musters all of her strength and rushes in with a lightning attack, slashing the dragon cleanly before posing like a hero. But when she turns around, she finds the dragon completely unharmed. He laughs and slaps her into oblivion, which completely incapacitates her as she lies on the ground, waiting for the dragon to finish her. Thankfully, Alan comes to her rescue and slashes one of the dragon wings cleanly, knocking the dragon down. He then tells the girls to get out of the area, while the dragon charges at him with full speed, but Alan simply uses his magic attack to throw an aerial slash which hits the dragon and stops him in his tracks. The dragon is very confused as he is the Red Dragon King, the strongest dragon in the world, but Alan immediately scans him and is ready to deliver the final blow. But the dragon starts running away like a coward, before jumping on top of the girls. He promises to kill them if Alan takes a step further, but Alan doesn't give a shit and rushes in with a strike, penetrating the dragon with his sword, and unleashing his ultimate move that completely destroys the dragon. Everyone rejoices at the victory, and Alan realizes that the girls can't survive a day in this world without his help and decides to delay his retirement till Lisa's work is done. The next morning, he wakes up by the tree only to find Lisa staring at him. He then looks around to see the little girl sitting and watching while the hero Akira and Betty are having a sparring match to decide who is the strongest amongst them. Suddenly, Alan remembers that yesterday, Lisa used Saint Class healing magic on Akira when she was injured. But Lisa tells him not to divulge this information to anyone else as it is a secret she has been keeping, and Alan promises that her secret will be safe with him. Just then, Akira calls Alan over, claiming that they want to have a sparring match with him as well. Later that day, they all get ready in the wagon, but Akira decides that she wants to wing it alone and doesn't want to travel in a wagon. Alan asks whether she would be alright, but she promises that she knows how to handle herself and tells them that she will be taking the girl with her. This makes Alan suspicious, so he tells her to beware of FBI, and she goes off on her way. Alan and the rest proceed into the wagon, where Lisa apologizes to Alan because in the last fight against the dragon, his sword broke, and tells him that she wants to go to a nearby village which is filled by degenerates because her friend called Noel lives there and forges amazing swords. Alan tells her not to worry about it, but agrees to go into the village regardless. Meanwhile, back at Alan's house, his father and his brother Karen are talking about how their plan failed. It turns out that it was them who sent the monster dogs to attack the princess, as well as they made a deal with the dragon to kill the hero, as they want to take revenge on the kingdom. Karen starts shouting, but his father tells him to shut his mouth up, while he turns his attention towards an old butler-looking dude and tells him to get more information about the whereabouts of the princess. Back at the village, Alan is shocked to see the area filled with all kind of demi-humans roaming around the area while he finds his way to Noel's house. Inside, they find her lying on the floor, which gives Lisa a scare, but it turns out that she was just exhausted after working all night. Lisa